In the previous lesson, we started to work in 3D in After Effects, and we saw that we can work with cameras, we can work with the 3D space, with 2D objects, and also with 3D objects. Now, this is pretty heavy in After Effects, and you can also use 3D software like Cinema 4D, which also can work in combination with After Effects. But there are also other software out there like 3ds Max or Blender that can generate 3D animation. Now in this video, we're going to continue and we're going to see some extra tools. Again, working with 3D, working with lights, with cameras, working with layers and text. And so let's get started. I'm just going to create a new project. And this will be lesson 19 of our course. I'm going to create a new composition from scratch. Just going to use standard Full HD with the color here. And let's start to create some 3D layers. So I'm going to create a new solid layer, and it's going to be white, and that's going to be our background. So I can call this like background or whatever. Now, something we didn't do in the previous lesson is we didn't use any video footage or anything already animated. Well, you can also turn that into a 3D object. So let me just apply here first another text. And I'm going to type again After Effects. And then I want to create also a new layer from a footage. So I'm going to import a video from my video folder in After Effects. And also I'm going to show you how you can open like Cinema 4D files directly in 3D. So I'm going to get a video here, and let's take some colorful video. This one here, for example. Okay, and then I'm going to bring it inside the composition. And now I'm going to turn everything in 3D. So I'm going to click on the switch here in the timeline, and I'm going to make everything 3D. And I'm going to go back to the 4 views so we can see how they are organized and arranged in terms of the depth. Now, I want to show you also you can work with the depth of field and the focus and defocus in this video. So we're going to need some of these to be a little bit distanced, so not everyone on the same position. And so it's a little bit heavy, so I'm going to go in the draft 3D to make things a little bit lighter. And let's push this a little bit forward. This is the After Effects text, and then I want to select here the back panel. I want to push it back so I can see now the video. Before they were overlapping, so I couldn't see the video. And also I want to make this video panel here a little bigger. So I'm just gonna scale it from here, or you can use the properties here. Let's make it like 150 size. Okay. And now we need a light and a camera. So first I'm going to create a light. So layer, new, and create a point. Well, let's do a spotlight. You can also do an ambient light. This is going to illuminate everything. Or parallel, it's going to be like similar to the sun, and it's going to be straight. But I want to create like a torchlight effect. So I want to create a spotlight. Let's make this like a little bit bluish, and cone angle, everything, I'm gonna keep it as it is. Just gonna decrease the feather, and that's it. If you want, you can also add fall off. So you can say that the light is gonna like disappear after 1000 units with the radius of 1000. And there you go, that's our light. So I have now a nice torchlight effect. And let's animate this light. So I want to push the light like outside. So if I do this, there will be no light into the scene. It's going to be pretty dark. And then if I go here, let's go here in the spotlight. I'm going to just activate the point of interest and the position. Now, this one here, the source, is going to be the point of beginning, so the position of the light. And this one here will be the point of interest. Now, camera works in a similar way of a spotlight. So we always have the point of view from here and then the point of interest. So I'm going to just go forward here after 2 seconds. And I want to push the light in the middle of the scene here so that I can see the whole text. And you can see we're animating both the target and the other value. And I can also take that manually and place it there on the back. So I can change the position of the target and the position of the light. I can also change the cone. I can make it larger, but in this case, I just want to like bring this light a little bit here. So you can see it's starting to fade out. It's becoming more and more dark the more I push it away from these elements. Now I want to also push this text a little bit forward so that I can show you the depth of field effect. So I want to push it like right here. Okay, so now you can see that the light is animated. So you can definitely animate light. It's really easy to animate light and create beautiful 3D effects. And of course, this is gonna take a lot of time. But you can also animate cameras. Now, to create a camera, again, we have many options. Quicker way is to go to the layer, create new, and then go to camera. And there is the depth of field. And we can also change the lens, or that's going to affect the field of view. And that also is going to affect other settings. So it looks quite complicated, but it's not really. You just can change the film size, and that's going to affect the angle of view or field of view, which is kind of a cone as well, just like the spot. And you can lock this to the zoom or not. So let's just create one and then we'll fix it later. So there you go. Now we have also the camera, and camera is called camera 1. We can also rename this. Let's call this like JB camera. Okay. And so now I can go inside that camera from here, or I can change the JB camera settings from here. Right now we are actually in the JB camera. You can see here the active camera is JB camera. This means that if I navigate in here using the navigation tools, I will also affect the position of the camera. You can see the camera moving in the other views. Now, if I hold the Alt key, I can use the different navigation tools. So if I click with the left mouse holding the Alt key, I can orbit. If I hold the middle mouse or the scroll wheel, I can pan. And if I hold the right mouse together with the Alt key, I can do the dolly, so I can move back and forward with the camera. So essentially, you can either manipulate the camera from here, from the FT camera with the navigation tools, or you can manipulate it just as we did like with the spotlight by changing the position, by changing the point of view, and also by changing the cone. So you can see the cone now is right there. So if I also go here, you can access the camera, some of the camera options from here. For the other options, just as we do with other layers, we go here in the layer, go to camera settings, and here we are back into this. Now you can see that we cannot access the depth of field. This is because not every render engine supports this effect. There are some effects that are supported by Cinema 4D, others that are not, but also with the classic 3D, some of these are supported, some of others are not. So let's go in the classic 3D and let's go back to the, well, you can also double click